There we go. Perfect. Yeah, my name's Justin. I am 24 now, and I graduated from Northwestern University in St. Paul with a creative film and ministry major.
What is your favorite food?
Pizza. I'm basic, but I love pizza. Something about it. I mean, you can do it so many different ways, you know.
What do you like to put on your pizza?
Just cheese.
Just cheese?
Maybe pepperoni, I don't know.
All right. So, Justin, you just finished college. What is your occupation, or what is your kind of career path at the moment?
Yeah, so I actually do video stuff. These are both the cameras I'm using are mine to record. And I am working towards being a videographer full-time, freelance. So I do mainly weddings. I shoot music videos for some of my friends mainly. I've reached out to a couple different people and just offered to do it for really low cost and for one for free. And I love making videos. I love even this interview stuff. Like, there's something about it, especially just storytelling aspect. Like whether I do a wedding video or I do music video, and I love this like documentation types work because you're telling someone's story, and at the end of the day, that's something more eternal and has just more value than the flashy stuff, than the cool videos that are fun to watch, than the TikToks, whatever it is, you know. But there's something about just engaging and sitting down and listening to somebody who's sharing their story, and I'm like, man, that's really cool. And so that's why I really fell in love with weddings, honestly, because it's two people, it's one of their biggest days ever, and they're making commitment between themselves, the Lord, and yeah, so that's what I'm doing. I also serve at Olive Garden, so if you're ever in the Roseville area, come get soup and salad and breadsticks. It's all you need. So
That's awesome. With the idea of stories, what you mentioned, it's eternal. It's one of those things that's bigger than just the flashiness. So what exactly in the story perhaps draws you to learning about people's stories or expressing them?
yeah, I feel like lately in life, I mean, I've always bounced around in my faith a little bit. I've never been like denying that God is real. I've always believed that God is real. There's been parts in my journey where I've like believed that, you know, does he really care about me? And I've always questioned that, and I've struggled with at times where Ryan and I were in Japan, and I was like, man, recently I'd been dealing with this struggle where I was like, you know, I believe this, do I really live it out? And especially like, why does he care? And why do at times do I feel nothing? And Ryan was a really good friend actually to be there and help walk me through that process with me and just listen to me. And that's the biggest thing that I've learned in life is people are all that really matter. God is all that really matters. And, you know, we're on this earth for a very short time. And I'm 24 now. I remember the other day when I'd run to elementary school every day, and, you know, it feels like not too long ago. But I love connecting with people because it's very purposeful for me. It's hey, I want to listen to you. I want to love you well. I want to just get to know you. And I think that's the greatest ministry of all, is just making friends and really showing them that you care and going the extra mile, whatever it is. And that's why the video draw and the storytelling draw and all of it just brings back to this, hey, I want to listen, almost. It's kind of what it is. It's like, I want to listen to you because I think you're important, you're valuable. So,
with Shamina, you have a connection. What's your connection in your faith walk with Shamina?
Yeah, I worked at Shamina for 7 summers. I was an intern there for a full year, and Shamina was a huge part of my life. I initially didn't want to go there at all. My buddy, his name is Noah, he reached out to me. We were both like in 7th, 8th grade, and he was like, hey, you want to come to the island camp with me, which is like a more rustic, rugged camp. And I was at that point very much a city guy, and I was like, no, I'm okay, I don't want to go, Noah. And I go and talk to my mom about it, and she's like, well, I already paid the $100 and signed you up, so you're going. And I was like, oh, shoot. But I fell in love with the place, and I fell in love with just the ministry, and I fell in love with the fun, and just being reminded that being a Christian and like following Jesus, it's fun. And it is joyful and it's purposeful. And I feel like there's a lot of things nowadays. People look at people who follow Jesus and they're like, man, they're boring. They can't do things. It's a book of rules. But it's more so a lifestyle of freedom is what I found, because it's like, hey, we're separate. Hey, like I have this love for people, and it's real to me. And like, I'm not going to get mad as easy. And I don't know, there's so much freedom in being a follower of Jesus. And I think, Shamina's definitely helped me see why being a follower of Jesus is so good and why it's so fulfilling.
So cool. That's so cool. With this lifestyle of freedom you talked about, what's one of the things that maybe specifically you found that was holding you back until you understood what the lifestyle of freedom that you get from being with Christ is?
I always grew up in a family that went to church, and I always went because my parents made me, and that's what I did. And I'm sure some of the people watching this video might be able to relate to that. And what made it real for me, like, it was not necessarily a single light bulb moment, but it's this kind of, I just kept moving in it and towards it, and I was like, maybe there's something there. Sometimes I feel things, sometimes I learn things that I agree with, and so I just kept going that direction. And basically, as you keep getting older, you just keep realizing, like, man, there's just no purpose really in life. And it sounds a little morbid and dark, and I don't mean it to, but we're on this earth, and we're here to worship the Lord and to love each other well. And I think that's ultimately become the draw to me is, hey, I see a lot of people nowadays battling depression, battling anxiety, battling stress, and it's like God's not going to necessarily solve all those problems right away, and you might still carry that burden for a while, but that's something more to cling on to and something more to just be encouraged by. And I mean, I have a friend who he's kind of always like, I feel like I talk to God and I never hear anything, and I mean, and I'm sure some of you guys might battle with that. I've battled with that. I'm sure Ryan has, and I mean, there's just this persistence aspect where, like, if you want to work hard in life and it's like whatever you want to do, you just have to persist. And the Lord will always reward you. And I mean, if you look in the Bible, there's so many times where God was quiet for so many years, like 400 years. And from the Old Testament to the New Testament, in the book of Esther, the name of God isn't even mentioned in the whole couple years that book is written through. And it's like, God, you're silent. And I mean, part of the reason, too, is the world is so loud and we're so distracted. Like, how often do we really sit in silence for even, like, 10 minutes a day? Like, I know that's hard for me. So, I don't know, that's probably one of the biggest things.
Yeah. With some of the passages you mentioned, do you have a specific passage that has really resonated with you throughout your walk?
I'd say right now a big thing is the Good Samaritan passage, because it's very just a political year, and I mean, as far as where you stand, I'd say it doesn't necessarily matter that a whole much. And it's like, if your neighbor is out on the side of the road, like, beaten and bruised and broken, are you gonna put away your differences, and are you gonna put away your political beliefs? Are you gonna put away your just initial connotations? Are you gonna put away your initial biases and your just perceptions and everything? Are you just gonna, like, disregard that to say, hey, I'm going to love you well right now? And I feel like that's the biggest thing right now that our country really needs, and that's just what humanity really needs, honestly, like, more than just America, is, hey, like, go and love people who are different than you, and go and love people who are the same as you. Like, go and just love everybody, I guess. And so the Good Samaritan is always, it's a great passage, and there's way more context, there's way more wow factor in it than what we learn in Sunday school. And like, if you really sit down and you do a little bit of research, you'll begin to scratch, like, well, it's crazy that this Samaritan stopped and helped this dude.
With so with your faith journey and kind of the places you've been and the places you're going, what has maybe been one of the most influential parts of your interaction with other people that has drawn you to God?
Man, I feel like it's when people just sit down and listen to you first. Like, when I grew up Wednesday night, and there's some Wednesday nights I didn't really want to go, and there's a lot that I did, and the reason that I did is because the youth pastor and directors and the small group leaders, they would sit down and they would ask me how my week was consistently. And, like, I just love that. Like, as a student, even now, it's like when somebody asks you, like, hey, share a little bit about yourself, like, it's nice, because, there's also a lot of non-genuinity, and I don't even know if that's a word. there's a lack of genuine interaction in the world. Like, people ask you, hey, how you doing? You good? And it's like, yeah, I'm good. And it's like, hey, how are you really? And I feel like at church, we get those conversations more where it's like, hey, how are you really? A huge thing with being a follower of Jesus is the community, and, like, being listened to and listening to others and encouraging each other. And that's, like, a huge part of what the faith's all about. And so I feel like there's honestly not a lot of other religions or even cultures that really do that, and that's really unique about Christianity now I think about it more. And I think it's important. I think that's probably the biggest draw that I had was, hey, you get to go to a place where people are going to listen to you, and they're also going to love you and care for you. So, I mean, that's awesome, I think. So.
Yeah. What are some of the things that you feel God is bringing you to now that you've kind of been on your faith journey for a bit? You know, you've grown up in the church, you've gone to summer camps, and you've been on ministry in different places. Where is God sending you now, whether it be with videography or if there's something kind of on the side or something different?
Yeah, I'm not totally sure. Probably because I'm not always the best at sitting and listening. But that's something I'm always working on. I think that God does want me to pursue videography, and He does want me to use this talent that I'm developing to serve Him. And I think He wants me to be in the world more and to work with non-Christians more and be just very, very different. To be encouraging, to be a light, and to listen. And yeah, I mean, I would love to go into ministry again. I think I will eventually, and I'll probably bring this stuff overseas with me and do more missions with it. And I just want to keep improving too. Like, I look at a lot of Christian films, and a lot of them are pretty cheesy, and it's like, man, we serve the most creative God. Why is our work not even comparable to Hollywood? You know, it's almost discouraging, but like driving in a way where it's like, man, I think I can make something that's going to be really good and engaging. So, I mean, if I could do anything, I'd want to make a Hollywood movie that's not necessarily Christian, but it would be from like kind of a faith base and just get you to think deeper, and people watch it and be wowed and be like, you know, would feel just a really big experience in that, and just it would open the door to just ask questions more freely, I guess. I don't know. It's a tough question.
What are some of the habits that you've built into your daily life that help you stay focused on what God's doing now or what God's bringing you toward?
Yeah, I'd say in the morning I always try to pray. I try to start my day off like that. I always try to have a slower morning, because when an alarm wakes up and it's like, oh shoot, I gotta go now, you don't just, your whole day I think gets kind of messed up a little bit, because it's like, okay, now you're going. You never gotta rest, you never gotta sit, you never gotta reflect, you're just going, which can be super draining, I think. But as hard as to wake up just a little bit earlier, to just sit and be, and even if it's make a cup of coffee and just sit at a table and stare and just kind of think, like, and then, obviously, like, I would hope that you'd be able to come around to like praying, but like, there's a very important part of just being in silence is kind of what it comes down to. And I really do believe like God's going to speak in the silence. He's going to speak in the whisper. And whenever I do even get on track with reading the Bible, whenever I do get off track with reading the Bible, I always will revert to doing a Proverbs a day, because the book of Proverbs is just wisdom, and there's 31 chapters, and so you can just go to whatever day it is, you can pull it out, you can read a chapter, and you can just get back into that discipline super easy. And it's like a 2-3 minute read. Maybe read it twice and just like underline a couple things that really stick out to you. But there's a lot of good that comes from reading the word and from praying. And like, a lot of people make it out to be like you need to sit for 30, 40, 50 minutes, an hour. And if you do, you're going to reap a lot of good. But even like taking time and just sitting for like 5-10 minutes, like that's huge. I think it's gonna make a big change. And if students who watch this video, if you guys never read the Bible, reading the Bible for 2 minutes a day, going from nothing to 2 minutes, that's infinite times better. Like, you don't need to spend 30 minutes to an hour. Like, sometimes you hear a sermon or somebody will challenge you and be like, hey, do this 30-minute to an hour devotional each day. And it's like, hey, how about you go and you pray? If you never pray, go and pray for 2 minutes a day. Go pray for 1 minute a day. Like, I don't know. I think that's awesome, because that's a victory right there, And so I think that a lot of times people challenge youth, and just even people who are, I don't know what I believe, and they say, hey, just go do this for 30 minutes, go do this for an hour. And it's like, hey, go do this for 1 minute and just do it regularly. And like, I don't know. I think that's the biggest thing with developing even habits.
Yeah. As you developed your habit, did you find it was easy to get into like the 1-2 minute a day or the 5 minute a day, or how was your journey with that?
Yeah, life is always just going to have its up and downs, and there's times where I'd wake up and I would spend 20 minutes to an hour every morning in the Word and journaling and praying, and there's times where I'll spend 2 to 5 minutes. There's some mornings where I won't spend any time, but when I'm driving, I'll pray. Or there's days where it escapes my mind, or I'll think about it, but then I won't do it. But even those days encourage me because it's like, hey, at least it is on my mind. That is something I should be doing. So, I mean, there's always going to be ups and downs like anything in life, but I think if you build habits, it's just really important. And it's like, I mean, it's like working out. Like if you just do it every day, you're going to do it every day. And if you miss a day, like it's pretty easy to get just back on track. So,
let's see. What would be your advice to a younger self, a younger you?
if I give one advice, I'd say go to camp. And I mean, it's because I would say just do something fun that involves being a follower of Jesus. And do something that's escapeful, not something in the city, something where maybe your phone is away most of the time, something where you are just with a community and you're with just people who love the Lord. And I think that will really change your life. I think that's probably the biggest thing because, I mean, I could say, like, save up money, or I could say get a job, or I could say don't get a job. I could say go ham in sports, don't go. Like, at the end of the day, none of that stuff really even matters. And I think the biggest thing is where's your heart at and what's going to get you there. And I think if you are unsure of a lot of things and you go and you live life with a bunch of people who love the Lord or who are unsure, but the leaders are in love with the Lord, and it's just a really fun atmosphere, and they're really genuine, they love you and they listen to you, you're going to see that there is something different and there's something real about the Lord that we serve. And I think that's probably the biggest thing, honestly.
That's a good word. Yeah. I think that's it, man.
That's it?
I think that's it.
Covered all the bases?
I
Sweet.
believe so, yeah. Do you have any extra thoughts or any extra words of advice?
Nah, dude, just go to camp. That's all I got. Go to camp.
Just go to camp.